Hi, this is Attorney Mike Gravel coming to you from Chicago, as usual. And today we're going to go back and see Judge Middleton again in a little something we're going to call Wild Court Moments number 14, Dress Uniform. And speaking of uniform, I've got my fancy new t-shirt here. Yes, it says, "I do not wish to board your vessel." It's a great way to show your support of the channel while telling the world to leave you alone. Let's do it.
Records and progress notes regarding Mr. Brown. I'm not going to do this sentence here today. I'm not going to sentence this defendant while he's wearing a full dress uniform. He got drunk and hit somebody in the face with a gun, and I appreciate his service to the country, but I'm not going to do this while he's disgracing the uniform here on a civilian criminal charge. We're going to read.
So this is interesting. You see the defendant's at the bottom, and he's got his full dress uniform on, and frankly, he looks good, but the judge is having none of it. And I understand where he's coming from. He just thinks it's out of place, and it's inappropriate under the circumstances. And I happen to agree with him. And you can see he has a lot of respect for the military throughout this hearing, and it's charming, and it's sort of surprising. You could view that a couple of different ways, but he views it this way, and he's not backing down from that.
Set this. Mr. Brown is not in the military. He's going to come back in civilian clothing and will do this. Otherwise, I'd just give him 365 days right now.
Tonor, I apologize. He had asked me if that would be appropriate, and I didn't think that would be inappropriate. So that is
There's the defense attorney. She's in the middle. And I saw this before. And oh, does she fall on her sword here? She cannot backpedal fast enough. And I find it amusing. At the same time, I guess her name is Rhonda Ives or something. At the same time, it gives me more respect for her. This is a classic illustration of how an attorney is good for you. This attorney, she probably discussed this with the client and said, yeah, I think that'll work. A judge has great respect for veterans. She miscalculated, and she cannot be more apologetic and do more to take the sting out of this for her client. And it's actually commendable.
my bad legal advice, and I apologize. Historically, I had the opposite experience in a different court, but I certainly apologize, and on behalf of my client, I deeply apologize.
I absolutely believe this. She's saying I had a different experience. Namely, I had another defendant who's ex-military. I had to put his uniform on, and it worked out great. She has miscalculated here. She knows Judge Middleton, I'm guessing. She knows that he has a lot of respect for the military. Did not calculate that he would take offense to this as opposed to be sympathetic to it.
In all due respect, if the court would set the matter over, we'll have my client dressed in accordance.
The defendant's wife or somebody is poking her head in there. That's just awkward as it gets. I also like how the judge said, well, here are your two options. We can set the sentencing over, or I can give him the max right now, which is 365 days. It's probably a misdemeanor. So that's the most he could give. If you're going past that, that would be a prison term. I don't think he made up that date randomly. So, he's like, well, I can sentence him right now, but it's going to be max under these circumstances. Don't forget to hit like. The boys would really appreciate it, unless you have something against Frankie and Ollie.
I would also note Stoney Summy is here. He's become a regular here at our court assisting in veteran matters. But this offends my sensibilities. I was a young prosecutor. Someone showed up in a Marine Corps uniform. All right, just take it off. And my predecessor was a Marine and was greatly offended by the misuse of the uniform. I do appreciate your service, and I do appreciate what you've been doing with the veterans. This is a serious matter.
Well, he got the memo and at least had the good sense to take the coat off. After that, he looks dressed from the waist up, almost like civilian clothes. I don't know how the attorney must have gotten that message through, or he was just picking up on it, but it was the best play possible.
Ms. Davis, let's start with you. What would you like me to know?
I did not receive any updated information from the victims, so I don't really have much to say on their behalf other than I think this was a really bad situation that thankfully didn't go from bad to worse.
What it shows is that Mr. Brown has been extensively involved in treatment with the VA for PTSD issues and alcohol issues. So that is encouraging.
Deb, what is your email address again? Your old one's popping up.
Oh, Davis D at the county's email.
Got it.
Thank you.
I'm forwarding what I sent to the court yesterday with an update on the treatment and counseling that I provided to the court.
Deborah, what's your position?
Trying to read through these notes quickly.
They should have been forwarded to you at the same time they were forwarded to me.
There's
They were
46 pages of progress notes. I'm not really going to be able to have a meaningful look at them.
It's very reasonable, but Deborah wants no part of this. Yeah, I just got an email mid-call with that's 46 pages long. I mean, what do you want me to do?
All right. Do you wish to reschedule this?
No, as far as input for sentencing, I will say that our victim advocate has had phone contact with the gentlemen that were involved with this. She wasn't sure if they were going to be able to sign in today or not. It would be up to the court what you choose to do based on all of the notes and information you have. I'm sure you've looked over the 46 pages and
I did, but so I won't. It just appears that he's been regularly participating in treatment available through the VA, and that's a plus. But I was concerned about the man he hit in the face with the gun and whether there was any input from that person or any restitution regarding medical treatment for that.
I don't believe that they asked for any restitution.
Well, Your Honor, I was in my email, I had alluded to the fact that I was going to ask the court for a delayed sentence. Mr. Brown has never been in any type of trouble before. This is the first of its kind. He struggles from post-traumatic stress from his years of being in the military. And that's combined with an alcohol issue, which I believe he is really trying to address. He has been involved in treatment on a regular basis, attends a group. He knows that he's very ashamed. He feels that he did disgrace his country. I believe that Mr. Brown is extremely remorseful. I believe that, and I don't know where he went. Is he still here?
Ms. Ives, when you're talking about a delayed sentence, what are you asking me to do?
Well, Your Honor, I thought under the court rule, if the court would delay sentence for 1 year, if Mr. Brown would show the court that this is not indicative of his personality and he's getting treatment for the post-traumatic stress, that he is maintaining sobriety, that he's maintaining stability, then hopefully in 1 year the court will consider a dismissal.
Well, the dismissal's not up to me. It's up to the prosecutor. He entered a plea to possession of a firearm while intoxicated. I could consider a different sentence, but I don't have the authority to dismiss it. Well, that's a nice pocket veto. The prosecutor works out a plea agreement. The judge sets sentencing for a year later and then dismisses it without the prosecutor's consent. I don't think the statute allows for that. It does allow, as you indicated, to continue the sentence to a later date. It's like a pre-probation. Mr. Brown has always been respectful, standing tall. Mr. Brown, you're 1 year older than I am. I suspect you graduated from high school in 1972. I graduated in 1973. The draft ended when I was a senior in high school. A lot of those people went to Vietnam, and you went into the service and I went to college. I didn't do service to my country like you did. So I want to grant some consideration for that, but it was a bad deal. And I still can't figure out what the heck you were even doing here or how you got into this thing, other than the fact that you were quite intoxicated. The time they booked you in at the jail, you were 0.74, which isn't terribly high. I don't know how intoxicated you were at the time of the incident. Your lawyer suggests I defer this, and I'm willing to do that. I can always accelerate the sentence. I'm going to set for sentence May 23rd, 2020. I can 2022. I can defer the sentence for up to 1 year. I don't have the authority to summarily dismiss it. And I don't think this case should be dismissed. I think the firearm should be forfeited, and I think there should be a record of this. But I think there could be no additional jail if you continue to stay on the path you're on. All bond conditions remain in effect. No alcohol, no firearms. If things continue to go well, it's unlikely you're going to get any additional jail sentence. Essentially, you're on a probation, but it's bond. You can't drink any alcohol, you can't engage in any assault or threatening behavior, you can't use any controlled substances unless they're prescribed by a doctor, and you can't use or possess a firearm. And you continue with your treatment. So maybe out of something bad came something good. You started looking these issues in the face.
Okay, watch this bit here as the defense attorney starts talking. You gotta look at Deborah's face. I should have like an intro, like a special segment, like Sovereign Citizen Argument or something, which is just watch Deborah's face. She's having none of this argument, and I don't blame her.
Judge, I just received a message to my phone that Mr. Brown they weren't able to hear that, so I'm definitely concerned that they did not hear your ruling, and it looks like he's frozen now.
Well, thanks to YouTube, they can go back and watch it.
Yes, you can watch it on YouTube.
Thank you, Deborah. Oh, I was thinking the same exact thing when I saw this the first time. You know, he just goes on this long thing. He defers sentence till May, and then says if you behave yourself, you're probably not going to get jail time, but you can't drink and you can't have your firearms. Okay, so very, very reasonable, and he explains his reasons for that. And then of course, you know, because of technology, the guy's not listening. This is the only part that I sort of part ways with the defense attorney, who I think he did a fantastic job getting this deal for her client. But who cares? Explain it to your client yourself or look on YouTube. You're not getting a better deal than that. After you took the coat off, the judge just melted. Between that and the good behavior reports, he gave you everything he possibly could.
The hearing date is May 23rd, 2022 at 11 a.m. He may have to be here in person because I'm not going to struggle with these issues in this important case. But you're correct. He can log into YouTube and watch it just like everyone else. All right, you can stay in contact with him. Let him know that the matter is continued and all the bond conditions remain in effect. You should watch it on YouTube and he can hear everything I had to say.
Okay, thank you. I'll have them go to YouTube and watch it. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. It was very interesting. Just a basic sentencing. You know, the judge, it struck him the wrong way that he showed up in military dress, and I understand why. I actually agree with him. But you can see ultimately it's sort of funny, and it's a good illustration of why attorneys are helpful. Ultimately, it worked. Ultimately, it worked because it stuck that military service in the judge's mind. He was offended by the use of the uniform in court, but once that was taken away and all of that problem was absorbed by the attorney on behalf of her client, she did exactly what a professional should do. She did recommend that he wear it. And then when it didn't work, she said it's my fault. And and she took the hit for it. Well, now you've got the defendant who has that military service fresh in the judge's mind, who's sensitive to such things, and the sting of the offense is taken by his attorney. At that point, Judge Middleton is just a big teddy bear about it, and does it. And at first, he does make sure about the restitution. That's no joke. But after those things, based on his good behavior and his compliance, at that point, Judge was doing everything he possibly could to help this defendant. Here at Law Talk, we like to have fun with silly stuff that happens in court, and every once in a while, and completely by accident, I assure you, you might learn something. Thanks for watching.